Hi everyone, I just wanted to come on here to give you a little behind the scenes look at how I made my new song Progress that will go live on Spotify and other platforms on Friday, January 21st. And I'm really excited about that. Progress is by far my favorite song that I've ever made, and it will be included on an upcoming EP that I'm working on. And so, just before I dive into the software that I use to produce this song, I started off with a few guitar chords, um, and those chords were C major, A minor, D minor, and G major. And then I just added sort of like a rhythmic strumming pattern to that and a drum kit. And then I added like an orchestral melody on top of that, and it sounded really great, but I got stuck on that idea. Back in September, I couldn't develop it, I couldn't make progress on that song. And then in December, I came back to that, and I luckily was able to check out a MIDI controller. And if you're wondering what I used for that, it was the Akai MPK3 Mini, and it basically is this one. And I just played on these keys. It also has a nice drum pad, and this really like elevated my production, because I just plugged that into my computer and started like playing different melodies and coming up with different melodies on top of that guitar that I had. So I'll just open up my Studio One Prime, which is the digital audio workstation that I use. And to start off, I basically had just the guitar and the drum kit as the foundation for this song. So I will solo these two parts and kind of show you. So I just kept listening to that over and over again, and then I took out that MIDI keyboard and I played a bunch of different melodies that just kind of fit well within this chord progression. And just when coming up with melodies, you need to like know what key you're in. So if you don't know what I mean, the key of a song is like its tonal center. So for this, I chose the key of C major because that's like the easiest key to write in. There are no sharps, no flats. And these chords are also in the key of C major. So for all the melodies that I write, they have to be within the same key. And in this case, like on a piano keyboard, in the key of C major, it's all the white keys. So I was just playing all the white keys. And I came up with 8 to 9 different melodies, which was like insane. And like I've just done that in 9 hours, and came up with a bunch of lyrics that fit right into the melody. Okay. So I just want to kind of walk you through the process of how I made this song. So I'll just kind of play through it, and I'll stop in between each section and kind of explain what kind of goes on behind the scenes. So for this is the intro, and this again defines it goes through the entire song. It forms the basis of it, and if you zoom in closely, you'll notice that I have the guitar here, and I am not a professional guitar player. So what I did was, when I originally recorded it on my phone, I played each of the chords, but I paused in between just a little bit to make sure that I was playing each of the chords correctly, because I'm not a professional guitarist, so my chord changes aren't that smooth. And just when I put it in the digital audio workstation, I used the technique, what I called like crossfades, fade in, fade out. It just makes the chord changes a bit smoother. It gives it like a better transition between those chord changes. So just to show you, I can solo this. Yeah, so you can hear a little bit of breaks in between, but taken together with all the other instrument parts, you can't really hear those breaks. So I'm just gonna move on. Okay, so here I have recorded 2 violin parts, and if you turn this on, you see that the main violin part is this one, and I chose to pan that in the center, which means that it is the most important part that I want to emphasize. So I want the listener to be able to hear it more than the other violin part, which I panned to the left, because I wanted it to be more off to the side, and it gives it a better balance in your song. So yeah, and then you notice that I have this piano part here. This was the original piano part that I had written, but then I decided to not include the piano part, but I didn't want to delete it either. So in order to fix that problem, I simply automated the muting. So it's like this entire piano part is muted, even though it's showing up, until like section E, where it's no longer muted. So I'll just keep going on. When I felt lost, I didn't know what to do. When I felt hopeless, I couldn't see the light. Okay, so a couple things I've done here is, for my voice, I added reverb to that, which Mixverb is the reverb plugin in Studio One, and I have adjusted the size of the room to like a percentage that I have felt is like not too much reverb, but not like too little. So it gives my voice an impression as if I'm singing in like a larger like auditorium. But I technically recorded these vocals like in the closet, so it's always good to record your audio, vocals, whatever, in a controlled environment, because then when you can when you import that into your DAW, you can add various effects and you have more control over the audio, as opposed to you recording it out in the open. So that's just kind of like a recording technique. And I had just recorded this to my phone. The recording quality on my phone isn't that bad, but I want to actually have a recording microphone one day and use a pop filter which filters out any of those P's or those poofy sounds in when you're singing. But because I don't have any of that, when I recorded it to my phone, I just had to hold the phone a distance away from my voice, from my face, so that those poofy sounds wouldn't come through. And then, like, for the lush strings, I will solo that, and I'll show you what I did. Yeah, so these are MIDI strings, and you can find them in the instrument library. They are the lush strings down here, and this I had recorded automation of the panning. So it starts in the center, and I use touch mode for this, so I can either go adjust it here, or as I'm recording this change of a parameter, I could also like move this as it's being recorded. So I moved it, I think, to the left, and then back down to the right, and then left, and then right. So panning is where you are changing the audio source. So like when the listener is listening to it, it will seem as if the audio is coming in from the left ear or into the right ear, and we pan things to the left and or to the right when those are not the most important parts that we want to emphasize in our song. You'll also notice that I have added as transitions the sound of ocean waves crashing ashore. I just think it's pretty nice to put in. And then I had downloaded Ableton's like chimes, and I have downloaded a bunch of Ableton sounds before the free trial ended because I liked some of them, and I didn't want to lose them, so I would just play it again and just kind of hear those transitions. When I felt hopeless, I couldn't see the light. Guess I am making progress now. Nothing can bring me down. Feeling the highest hopes now. Now I'm feeling so proud. When I let go, when I break free, I feel like I could do anything. All my past fears lay to rest now. I see it clear after all these years. So what I did here with the the choral accompaniment, is I panned that similarly to what I did with the lush strings. I didn't record, I actually put it on read mode, which means I can draw in the automation. So it's panning from left and then to the right. And if you're wondering, I can show you, these are actually what I played on my MIDI keyboard. Just a few notes, C and then A, and that was it. I felt like it fit right into my voice. And then, like, again, these are other like Ableton sounds I've downloaded, or I've stolen actually. So the kick and the snap, or hand clap as well. Okay, yeah, so this I had chosen to unmute the piano part, so it's playing, and I played that melody in. All of these melodies, when I originally came up with them, I had played it on the MIDI keyboard, and only, and then I converted most of them into either my voice or the violin. This section was the only section where I chose to keep the piano part. And and by the way, if you don't know what a MIDI keyboard is basically hardware that you can attach to your computer, and your digital audio workstation will recognize it, and you can load a bunch of different instrument sounds onto your MIDI keyboard. So like you don't have to just play piano sounds on your MIDI keyboard. You could also play string sounds. You could load in a drum kit and play drum sounds, or any other instrument. It's basically you can play any instrument you want with that MIDI keyboard, and this allows you to not have to own every single instrument. So yeah, again, more kicks, snaps, hand claps. It's good to I chose to add these sounds in because just hearing this drum kit without any of it is gonna sound pretty dull and dry. You want to change up your production every now and then to make things more interesting, or else the listener is gonna get bored. And you want to keep the listener engaged throughout the entire song. Without it, this is what it sounds like. And you can tell that that just kind of sounds boring. So, like with it, it sounds so much like more, I don't know, vibrant. And I love this Ableton reverse clash cymbal. It's a nice build up riser effect into the next section. I like to use this for transitions, and basically how you like make this kind of sound is you can take any sound, like a percussive sound or even like a guitar, and you play something, you record the audio, and then you put it in reverse. You can even add a reverb to that to build like this kind of build up riser effect. It's like a nice transition from one section to the other. So I'll just play that again, and then we'll keep going on. And this is the transition. It builds up, and then we have the drop. Yeah, so this was the section F was the section that started off the whole song. I originally had came up with this section with the guitar, the drum kit, and then this melody was the very first melody I had. I didn't have a MIDI keyboard back in September when I was at home. I literally had to manually draw in each and every single one of these notes, which was a little bit tiring, and it's not as good as having a MIDI keyboard, because the thing with the MIDI keyboard is that it's velocity sensitive. So when you're playing a key on the keyboard, depending on how hard or how soft you hit it, like 100% velocity is if you hit the key on the keyboard really hard and it's really loud. But if it's like 4% or some really small number, it's when you're just kind of lightly, hitting the keys. So that's velocity. And if you didn't have a MIDI keyboard, if you just took your draw tool and started drawing in each of these notes, what ends up happening is that the computer DAW is not velocity sensitive, so it won't detect any change of your velocity, and everything is basically pretty uniform, as you can tell here. So this is also a really cool effect. I automated reverb on my voice here. I didn't do that originally, but what inspired me to do that is like the lyrics that I wrote, like forgot where the time has gone. Something about that, I wanted to make it seem as if my voice started disappearing and becoming more distant. And the way to do that is to add reverb, and a lot of reverb. So I started out, at almost 0% size of the room, and I gradually and then suddenly increased the size of the room so that you can as a listener really detect, oh, like my voice is like becoming more distant and far away. So I'll just play that again. It'll be okay. I've come so far, forgot where the time has gone. So here I actually had 3 different violin parts recorded into it, and they're actually the same exact melody, but each of them are exactly an octave apart. And I chose this melody to be the lead, and then for the other ones I've decreased the volume here by adjusting the gain, or just simply decrease volume, which will bring your audio down by 6 decibels. And I did the same thing here pretty much. And then again, I used panning. So the main part is panned in the center, the others to the right and then to the left. So here, basically, as we're approaching the near end of the song, I added reverb gradually, just like I did with my voice, to make it just slowly fade out. Well, the fade out part is technically a different thing. It's this audio fade out. So if you look closely, if you highlight, you select an audio clip, what you can do is you can drag this corner to fade out. So that's what I did for the violin parts. But for MIDI, fade out is a bit trickier. And the rest, like the guitar part, I have so many different audio clips here. I can't possibly just go in and do this on every single one of them. It wouldn't make any sense. So what I did was I automated the fader. And I can show you what I mean by that. So I will adjust these to, no, not this. So I would adjust the, the guitar to volume. Oh, they already adjusted to volume. So as you can see, like the volume is already starting to decrease from like plus 2.3 dB to negative 23.6. And if I play it for you, you'll see that the faders are just automatically slowly moving down. Yeah, so these faders are moving down. The violin, again, like I said, I had just used the audio fade out, so I didn't have to automate the fader. And I just love how it ends. So I'm going to just play the entire song from the top.
Guess I am making progress now. Nothing can bring me down. Feeling the highest hopes now. Now I'm feeling so proud. When I let go, when I break free, I feel like I could do anything. All my past fears lay to rest now. I see it clear after all these years. I'm working hard every day, knowing it's all gonna be okay. I've come so far, I forgot where the time has gone.
Yeah, so that's like the entire song. And just a few notes I wanted to make is that for my vocals, it took a while for me to get that. So I don't have the best voice. So it took me, I don't know, several tries until I could get a take that was something I felt satisfied with. And I know that, I chose to do the right thing and, take the harder route because I want to push myself as an artist and improve my voice if I want to make better songs. I know some artists use auto tune, which, if you don't know what that is like a software plugin that you can add to your voice to basically correct any tonal or intonation problems that you have and automatically make every note that you've seen in tune. And what ends up happening is that, yes, although your voice is better in tune, your voice, like, because you're using technology, you're using a machine to program your voice is going to sound more robotic and machine-like. So it will show up in the mix and it's not going to sound good. And the listener can pick up on that. And another trick a lot of producers use for vocalists, if their vocalists can't get everything down in one take, is a technique called comping. So comping is short for compiling, and what that means is, you have a vocalist and they're just trying to record several different takes, and then what the producer would do is take the best segments out of each of those takes and compile them together into one single audio file here. And then it's like stitching things together, literally. And because you're stitching things together, it's more work, and you end up having some vocal, like, audio chops and breaks, and to avoid that, then you have to use crossfades or fade in, fade out, and that's just more work on the producer. And you might still, like, at the end of the day, you might still pick up on some audio breaks. This I just recorded straight through in one take. I did not edit any of this. I did not cut or splice. The only thing I did is add reverb to it. And the same thing goes for this section as well. So I have practiced and practiced until I could get a take that I was satisfied with, recorded that, and did it all in one take. Yes, I have some vocal imperfections, but that's okay. I'd rather be a little bit imperfect than to cheat and use auto-tune. And I just don't recommend using these kinds of, like, auto-tune or other vocal correction plugins, because although it might help you in the short run, it's going to hurt you in the long run, because then you're going to end up relying on technology instead of working on your skill and improving your voice. So that's just kind of a side note. Other things for organization, I have put arrangement headings and then arrangement markers as well, so I can just kind of skip to each section of the song, and it helps me with organization. With these headers, you can move entire sections of songs without having to highlight all the individual audio MIDI parts. So it just makes things a lot easier for organization. And other than that, like, that's all I have. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll post this on my YouTube channel, and I think it's good for me to look back on my creative process and see the techniques that I use, and I think it might interest some of you. So that's all I have, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.